In case you didn't already know, the Australian government has recently implemented their social media ban, banning people under 16 from using Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as the ones that nobody was using anyways, those being Threads and Kick. Whilst I know from living that nearly everyone is celebrating this change, and I think that's fair, there is a lot of absolute shite being posted by literal children on social media nowadays, and I also agree that social media can be a very interesting place for young kids, with sexual and violent content being posted and promoted all the time on almost every platform. Hell, look at Reddit. Actually, maybe don't look at Reddit. It doesn't matter. Have you picked up on the problem yet? I doubt it, unless you're actively looking for it. But let's go back. Notice how there are two apps not banned: Discord and Telegram. Are we serious? If you've been on the internet for more than 20 seconds, you know that both of these apps are farms for very, very illegal content, including, but not limited to, content involving children. And while Snapchat is not exactly the godsend app, it's yonks better than Discord and Telegram. Having someone on Snapchat is nowhere near as personal a connection as it is to having someone's number. I have people on Snapchat that I would never talk to in a million years, yet I still have them on Snapchat because I know them. Whereas with your number, I don't give out my number unless it's to someone that I'm close with or someone I actively talk to. In this way, Snapchat is similar to Discord. However, on Discord, it is much easier to join servers and talk to completely random people than it is on Snapchat. So when these kids get kicked off of Snapchat, chances are they're going to be pushed onto apps such as Discord, and to a lesser extent Telegram. On Discord and Telegram, it is much easier to get radicalized, especially when you're a younger, impressionable kid. And after the government's just kicked you out of social media, you may be holding some fairly small, but some anti-government sentiment. The foundations have already been built, and now those heavily involved in the very wrong parts of the world are able to grab these kids and push them into ideologies such as neo-Nazism, white supremacy, radical Islam, the far left, and last but not least, nihilistic cults. Even worse, Telegram is encrypted. The government, no matter how hard they try, unless they get access to one of the phones of somebody in the Telegram group, can't see what is going on in that group. So if there are children in that group getting radicalized, they can do absolutely nothing about it because they don't know what's happening. A great example of this happening was the YouTuber Soph, otherwise known as Lieutenant Corvus. While she started off fairly innocent, she had been on platforms such as 4chan since the age of 8, which, keep in mind, 4chan is not even included in this ban, which is absolutely ridiculous if you ask me. Through content creation and through 4chan, she met many people that ended up radicalizing her into far-right extremism, and she ended up becoming friends with a man from Brazil that was only a few years older than her that pushed her into neo-Nazism and Islamophobia. From there, she started posting very politically charged and hateful YouTube videos leading to her ban. You may be thinking now, oh, well, isn't this in support of the ban? I think the concept of a ban sounds great. However, the Australian one has been executed in quite possibly the worst way they could have done so. Why are you banning Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat? I can almost understand Instagram and TikTok, but Snapchat. And you're not banning Telegram, you're not banning Discord, you're not banning 4chan, you're not banning 8chan. These are the websites that are the most harmful to children, yet you're doing absolutely nothing about them. Next, whilst the government thinks that banning social media is going to bring everyone closer together, it's actually pushing people further apart, especially those already active on social media. This is something I can actually attest to myself, as I was banned from Instagram. Instagram is my primary social media app. I'm connected with a lot of people on Instagram. By removing me from Instagram, you're removing me from one of my main ways to connect with friends. Again, you may be thinking, oh, just go outside and meet with your friends in the real world. And I can understand that. However, how about my interactions with friends outside of person? What about my friends that live multiple hundreds of kilometers down the coast? What about my friends that live on the other side of the world? For them, this is my primary way of interacting with them because I'm unable to see them in person almost all of the time. And sure, you can come back to the argument of, oh, just give them your number and you can talk to them there. I can understand that. However, yet again, Instagram is not just for your close friends. I follow people on Instagram I've never talked to before. People that are friends of friends, but people I've never actually spoken with. It's the feeling of being part of a community, almost like a virtual city, and having people around you. And by including accounts already active on social media in the ban, you're removing them from this virtual city. You're making them feel isolated and you're giving them, to an extent, FOMO. For people who are not already on social media, this isn't really too much of a problem because they haven't built that social city yet. They haven't built those online connections. However, for those online already, it's absolutely detrimental. I'd now like to touch on something a bit smaller, and that is government and company control of population. To verify your age on most of these platforms, you either need to upload an ID, such as a driver's license or a passport, or you need to scan your face. And that does not sit right with me whatsoever. I don't want Meta or, I don't know, TikTok or Reddit to have an ID or a scan of my face in their system. I don't care if they promise to delete it. It's pretty strange. And I know this topic has been something that's been coming up a lot in the UK, especially because of the Online Safety Act. But I think it's a problem that we haven't really seen in Australia until now, and neither has most of the world. In the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big. And yet again, I don't believe the government's going to start putting up facial recognition cameras in the middle of, like the Sydney Opera House, like on the plaza, you know what I mean? I don't think the government's going to do that. But having to upload your ID or do a face scan, it's definitely a step in the wrong direction. A very small step, but it is a step in that direction, and I don't like it at all. Anyways, I'm just going to round up. Australian politics is stupid. The social media bill is probably the worst thing in Australia since the Whitlam dismissal. Not too much else to say. If you have ideas or opinions and you want to add to my argument, or if you want to argue or like debate, or ideally not argue, if you want to debate me in the comments, feel free. I'll reply to it. We can have a civil discussion. I might have more videos coming on similar topics, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Bye, guys.